Hey guys, it's Sean Blodgett, one of the hosts of Countdown to 5 Ghostbusters. I just wanted to let you know we did actually record this episode on March 5th, 2024, right before the release of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Sorry for the delay, but I hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to episode 5 of Countdown to 5, covering Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Sweet, this is the one where the original Ghostbusters triumphantly return. Venkman!
Yep.
Stance!
Yep.
Zeddemore!
Yep.
Spangler!
Technically, yep. Welcome to Countdown to 5 Ghostbusters. The Ghostbusters franchise has been through a lot, and in 2021, Dan Aykroyd and the Ghost Corps division of Sony decided to take things back to the beginning and return to the timeline of the first two films and dive deeper into the Spangler family, or dive deep for the first time.
Yeah.
There's been no exploration of family on this in these movies, but now we have it, and I'm excited for the new location, the new characters, and everything that they brought to Ghostbusters Afterlife. I'm Paul Preston of the Movie Guys.
Sean Blodgett of Creative Motion Entertainment.
Justin Bowler of the world.
Never stops being funny.
Yeah, it never really.
Never stops being funny.
We never really get out of California.
Yeah, no.
That's
we're
right.
Good. We're good.
Yeah.
We're
You
good.
guys are stuck in your tiny little areas. Not this guy. International, baby.
Well, speaking of international, big time movie coming out this month. We're all excited about it. We bring it up every week, but there's always some weird news. A lot of time when we do the countdown, well, 2 times when we've done the countdown.
Yeah, well,
we're
that could be a lot of times.
We're
Yeah,
so
yeah.
far in advance
More than one
of the
zero.
movie, whether it's Star Wars Episode 9 or Dial of Destiny, we're so far in advance that there's all sorts of news. We're getting these going with just a few months, so like casting's done already. So there's not a whole lot of news, but there still is some news involving Frozen Empire. Sean, what do you got?
Well, I'll tell you, and first of all, thank you for always putting this together for us, because this is all, this guy here, he does it. I'm telling you. He puts it all together, gives us this information, and that's so we can share it with you guys out there.
That's
so,
right.
Frozen,
This guy brings the information. This guy brings the funny. I bring the world.
We're determining what you guys bring.
still up in the air what we all bring.
Yeah.
But all right, Frozen Empire update. All right, final trailer is out. We literally just watched it together, and okay, let's round robin it. What do you think?
I think it looks good. I love having just watched Afterlife. Do we already want to go? Like we
Go
see
for it. That's
the,
fine.
The very last teaser moment
Yes.
of Afterlife, of the warning sign coming on the containment unit.
Yep.
And then here we have, right in the middle of this trailer, every ghost they ever fought.
Yep.
That will fight again, type thing. So tying it in, very cool. Loving it.
I agree with that, by the way. It was cool to see that in this trailer and get that connection, because I also just watched it literally last night myself. So I had that, and I remember thinking as I was watching that last night going, okay, this will be interesting if they really tie this moment into the next one. And then, of course, they did.
Absolutely.
Paul, what do you think?
Every ghost? Vigo?
Oh.
Who knows?
Oh my gosh!
Well, this
The Steward of Gondor's coming back!
Who? No, but they spilled now. And that the final trailer is when you do. They spilled. Here's everything you need to know. Coming in, have a good time. So the size and scope of the story and the stakes. I always say with the Indiana Jones movies, of course, if you have good stakes, you can have as much fun as you want within them. So hopefully now we know the stakes are huge. Now let's just have some fun.
Steak goes with everything.
It really does.
Here's the thing. I loved Afterlife. I really did. And I'm excited about this film. I love it. There's a huge shift in tone in Afterlife, and we see that also in this newer one, Frozen Empire, and I think they're going to carry it even further. And I'm not against that shift in tone. I think what they did with Afterlife was beautiful, and it was a great homage and things like that. And it was and I liked, and just jumping in real quick, I liked right out of the gate that it was a new, different story, something we hadn't seen completely, but they kind of carry over the beats and the moments that they feel like they need to hit to get a Ghostbusters film in, right? And so I think they're going to do that with this as well. However, I think this is going to double down even more on the scary.
It looks that way. It looks like it's the Empire Strikes Back of
I agree.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah. So, I'm excited about it. I love it. And one of the things right out of the gate I'm going to say is the special effects in these newer films, they're just they're beautiful to watch. It's like, I mean, we're getting to that place now where CG isn't just like, oh, that's pretty good. We're like, how do they, I guess that's just CG because it's so real. And they built that in some, whatever Blender or whatever application. So excited about seeing all that. We hinted previously at a collaboration between Frozen Empire and IC. Now we know what's up. You can purchase the following at theaters or at retail stores. Boo Raspberry, Red One, Cherry One, Slimer's Back, Tangy Green Apple, and Mischievous Mini Puffed.
Does that mean we're to assume that Slimer's slime tastes like tangy green apple?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
What if you're gonna go with like a fruit drink? What other? I mean, no one wants a cucumber drink at the movies.
You are correct. Yeah.
So I mean, you got to go tangy green apple.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay. So if Slimer were to slime you, it's going to be tangy green.
Yeah.
I just assumed it would be something a little more funky.
Well, I wouldn't be so upset then. Like people seem.
I know exactly.
I mean,
you
it makes
slimed me. Do it again.
Right. Yeah,
it makes sense
delicious.
that you would say funky. He says that. I feel so funky. So maybe it is a little
Are
bit
there
of
any
both.
blueberry ghosts who would like to slime me? Blueberry is a good flavor.
Or any, I don't know, steak.
Well, I'll say
Goes
this:
with everything.
at the Alamo Draft
Yes.
House, they're also
Goes with
offering
everything.
Slimer pint glasses. So that's kind of fun.
Ooh.
That tracks. Alan.
Yeah.
And look for Flamin' Hot Cheetos Smoky Ghost Pepper Puffs in stores too. I love Flamin' Hot Cheetos. They're great.
I saw the movie Flamin' Hot, and I thought it would be lame because now we're just making movies about everything. There's the Uber movie and the baby.
Wait, is there an
baby
Uber movie?
Yeah.
Oh.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And there's a movie for every weird thing that's BlackBerry, but Flamin' Hot's really, it's the underdog story. The guy who came up with that idea fought to keep it his own and advance in the company, and it was all really, really cool. And so, but I'm still not into peppers.
Did you say it's Flamin' Hot is named after what?
Flamin' Hot Cheetos Smoky Ghost Pepper Puffs.
Smoky Ghost has got to be the greatest name ever.
I think that's a country and western singer in the afterlife.
That's going to be my new gamer tag.
Everybody, we're going to welcome Smoky
Smoky
Ghost up
Ghost.
to the stage. Go ahead and put your air together.
He's a cross between a rapper and country. I want to see Smoky Ghost.
He's the Beyonce of.
He really is.
Yeah.
Smoky Ghost.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is the greatest name ever.
Do you watch Hot Ones?
Yes.
Okay, so Ghost Pepper's like the new thing
yeah.
now, and the X Pepper now is another new thing. So
The X pepper, it was a pepper. It's no longer a
I'm
pepper?
just saying, take it easy.
Okay.
Flamin' Hot Cheetos. It's tough. I'm a puss as it is. So
Sometimes we take tangents on this show.
If they're even listening, I'm pretty sure they know that.
They left it Flamin' Hot. Wait,
Yeah.
they're talking
They're
about
like,
the
guys.
documentary about Flamin' Hot Cheetos?
I'm like, if I want tangents, I can go watch
all right, you want to
Smartless.
get back on track? Let's talk about Afterlife. All right, so 2021, as I mentioned, this movie comes out November 19th. So a first for a later in the year release, with the warmer family message as opposed to like just straight comedy.
But also not their original release date.
Correct. Yes, July 2020 it was supposed to happen. So this is a year and a half later because
Pandemic.
COVID. Then it was moved to March 5th, 2021, then June 11th, and then finally it came out in November. But didn't hurt too much. On a budget of $75 million, it earned $204. And that's how you get Frozen Empire. And I think we talked about this with Answer the Call, which had a budget of
140, I think is what we said.
Yeah, $140 million.
Yeah.
That's twice as much.
You know, it's interesting that you say that because it's like you look at the budget for both of these, and you can see it in the films. I mean, obviously, they took a tangent in Answer the Call, where it's like all of a sudden there are action sequences in there. We didn't really have action sequences prior to this.
Right.
Nothing where it's like, yeah, that was some cool action. But I mean, straight up action sequences. Action sequences cost a lot, especially if you're dealing with digital characters. And then on top of that, then you move to this one. Okay, we have a little less action sequences. They're focusing more on eerie and drama, in all honesty, with family, but also something very specific since, when you look at music of this, the music they picked for this movie, we've got music, I wrote it down.
I can't wait till you get into this.
50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and then 2 songs from the 2020s. They didn't want to spend any money on music at all. And one of the songs from the 2020s was a song actually sung by Phoebe, sung by McKenna Grace.
By her, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it's like they're keeping that budget small. They told the music supervisor, "You got $1,000. Go out and get what you can."
Can I just say you touched on so many brilliant things that I wasn't even thinking about in terms of the comparative to Answer the Call. There are definitely, like, I don't know if they were influenced or if it's like sort of a slight homage to that, but I mean, even so, there's all the sort of action scenes, but even that ending in Answer the Call, they kind of go down this vortex in the thing, and then in this one they're like coming up out of the earth, right? Like, you know, so I don't know. That's kind of cool. I really like that, and I want to say this, since we just jumped into music, I'm just going to jump right in. They lifted. I feel like they lifted the score from the original Ghostbusters movie almost entirely. Now, obviously, it's not the same person who did the music, but the score itself, it beat for beat, as we progress through the film, has these moments, and it's almost like if you're a fan and you know the history of this, here's how we're feeling.
Yeah.
Here's emotionally where we are. And I think that's part of why this movie works, because we talked about Ghostbusters 2, and what did not work in Ghostbusters 2 was the music. I feel like if you went back and rescored that film with music from the original Ghostbusters, I think that film would work better.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I look forward to that.
Need Mike Nichols.
When you do that.
Right? Yeah.
We got Sean Blodgett. This will be fine. Yeah, he'll be great. I look forward to seeing that. We'll put it up on the website.
Right.
Yeah. That should be up in 2035.
Right. Look for it. The nom de plume of the editor who will do it is Smokey Ghost.
Smokey Ghost. So the tagline is "Discover the past, save the future." I don't think I ever heard that. I think it just said "Ghostbusters Afterlife" on the poster, and that's all we needed. And you're showing
Discover
up.
the past, save the future. When did
Never
we ever
heard
hear
that.
that?
I don't know, but it's a great tagline. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's beautiful.
All right. PG-13. So we've stuck PG-13. The last one was the first PG-13 movie in the franchise, but probably more for gags and other stuff.
But I think that's also because PG-13 came in with Temple of Doom, right?
Yeah.
That was the first one. When did Ghostbusters 2?
It prompted it. Yeah.
It prompted it. So I don't think it was readily used, for some years. I think people were still pushing for PG, even though they probably should have been getting like PG-13 along the way.
Right. Interesting.
So for Ghostbusters 2, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, sticking a baby out on the ledge like that, maybe you need to up the...
Yeah.
But it was
I
PG.
feel like that warrants something.
So first time seeing this one, what was your experience?
Well, no, it was my second time.
Right.
No, what was your first time?
Oh, what? Oh, sorry. What was my first time was in the theater with you.
That's right.
At the event. It was awesome. We had a great time. You always throw great events. And it was a beautiful evening. Got the theater with friends. I mean, there's nothing better than seeing a movie with friends and people you love. With the exception of adding on to that, watching it with friends and people you love who are also fellow actors and filmmakers, because there's just a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of going to the movies and afterwards having a chat.
Yeah, standing in the parking lot for 30 minutes talking about things.
Yeah, and it's also a great testament to whether or not the movie's good. Because if you're like, yeah, I thought that was okay, and like, yeah, me too. All right, good night. Good to see you. So yeah. That was it.
So we're going to need to go to the next movie and have time afterwards.
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our scheduling challenge.
Right.
It's all right. We're going to be up till like 2 in the morning.
We're going to do our entire podcast from the parking lot.
Maybe we should just do like a live stream and see who's going to. We'll just put it on and just start chatting.
Yeah, but those were the days. I mean, they still do it. I went on to look at renting a theater now, but the times are terrible. You can do it like 2 p.m. on Friday.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's going to come to that.
Exactly.
So, but back then, you had all these great
definitely
times. You could rent a theater, and we filled it up, and we raised money for the Karen Volpe Preston Legacy Fund Scholarship, which continues to give out an award every year. We've given out 4 so far to young actresses out there trying to do their thing.
Yeah, it's awesome. Making a difference.
Yeah, so I was thrilled by that. Brought the Ecto-1. One of the first coming out parties for the Ecto-1 was that.
Oh, was that one of the first? I didn't know. Oh, that's awesome. That's cool.
City Walk helping me out by letting me park down where the RVs normally go. But and by the way, if you're listening to this show be sure to go to YouTube and watch at least the opening of one of the shows, because you got to see the Ecto-1 in action with our brand new opening.
Yeah.
That debuted on the Ghostbusters episode. So
Yeah.
and it has been in everyone since.
Yeah.
Do you remember the original teaser trailer?
Oh.
Talk about the
It was
lifting
something-
talk
I
about
think it
lifting
was-
the music. They lifted basically Elmer Bernstein's ba, 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 ba,
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
thing, as the camera pushed in on a garage and the
And the Ecto-1
With
yeah,
the- yes,
flew.
yes,
Yeah.
fantastic.
the tarp
Yeah.
flies
Yep.
up and reveals the
Yeah.
back
Right.
end of the Ecto-1.
Right.
And I was like, oh, because that revealed a lot of tease right there. First of all, there's a movie. Secondly, there's the Ecto-1, but we're not in New York. And I thought
Right.
that was pretty cool. And I
Right.
thought it was a pretty cool choice to this day. And we've talked about how there should be more movies with Ghostbusters in more cities and more places because there are ghosts everywhere.
Right.
So by the time they got to Afterlife, I was glad they finally did.
Well, two things I want to say. First of all, you brought in another brilliant observation, maybe without even knowing it, again with the music. Because
Pretend I did it on purpose. Pretend I did something brilliant.
you brought in something brilliant, and I know you meant to do it.
'Cause I'm
And what it is that the music that we became familiar with the first Ghostbusters should have been more prominent in Ghostbusters 2.
Should have been in all of
because to your point, even in this teaser trailer for Afterlife,
Yes.
we hear that music and we go, what's up?
Well,
what's
here's the
going
thing.
on?
My response to it wasn't even. It was, I know this music.
Yes.
It wasn't even an immediate recognition. It was just, I know this. Because I
Right.
was watching that teaser trailer, not knowing what I was seeing a teaser trailer for.
Really?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that maybe they didn't even realize the importance of the score music. They
Yeah.
they lean heavily on the Ghostbusters song, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's always like kind of leaned on.
Yeah.
But the score, we know it. There's emotive memories with those moments. And so by them, invoking that, absolutely 100% totally brilliant. Love
Yeah.
it. There was something else you said and I forgot what it was, so we'll move
It was
on.
another brilliant thing.
It was another brilliant thing.
He says a lot of brilliant things. We're
Yeah.
going to get to a ton of
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah.
But you don't listen.
When I watched that trailer, as I said, I didn't know what I was watching a trailer for. And then when I saw Spooky Old Barn, I was like, is this Old West? What are we seeing? And then I see the Ecto-1. I was like, is this a crossover between like Ghostbusters and Back to the Future 3? What is happening here?
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Smoky
Love
Ghost
that.
footage.
I was gonna say I think it had to do. Oh God, I just had it and I lost it. Damn it! What was it? It was. We were talking about the music. Your point about ghosts everywhere. I don't think that's the story in these Ghostbusters movies. If you listen to what they're talking about in Afterlife, they say there was a big ghost thing that was happening in New York in the 80s,
yeah.
right? And then it fizzled out and it just kind of went away.
Right.
And now the big ghost thing is happening. Where's this, Montana or something like that?
Oklahoma?
Oklahoma,
thought it was
Midwest.
Missouri.
Somerville, Midwest.
Might just be that I'm watching
Nondescript
Ozark.
Midwest. Anyway,
Alberta.
Alberta, Canada.
Exactly.
That crazy lady. Here's the thing. I think that their storyline is not that there are ghosts everywhere. That there are these funnels or whatever things that are the gateways to the afterlife.
Yeah.
And these spirits are trying to break through.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what the Ghostbusters were trying to stop without even knowing it. I think that's kind of what the subtext of the story is.
I completely agree.
That's true now, but I think at the beginning you could have developed a franchise where, there's crazy old movie star ghosts in L.A.
Oh, yeah.
There's old, Dallas Cowboy ghosts in
Which
Texas,
is what
whatever.
Ghost Corps should have
But-
become.
Yeah.
You create this company that's Ghost Corps, and it's just like, okay, so we have our different groups here, there, and everywhere.
But no doubt it has something to do with the Ivor Shandor mine,
Right.
And all that ties into the original portal to our world. And these are the first friendly ghosts I think we've seen. Am I correct? Between Egon and I guess Egon again.
Well, now
him moving
Well,
the things around to guide.
As in helpful
Yes.
ghosts? Yeah. Because, I don't know, is Slimer ever unfriendly?
Well,
He
I think we
but
have.
He's never been mean.
I
He's
think we have
scared.
Muncher now because they made Slimer too friendly on the the cartoons,
Right.
And he became like their Dalmatian in
Yeah.
the,
Right,
in the,
right.
in the in their headquarters.
Speaking of
So-
the cartoons, quick tangent.
Yep.
So as I'm looking up research for this, I'm looking at the real Ghostbusters. I'm watching episodes. That was a show that I never really watched, and I'm looking at the voice talent that was behind it. I'm gonna we'll play a quick game. Okay, I want you to think of the time frame that it came out. So it's early '90s. Who do you think ended up playing Venkman? Who was the voice of Venkman?
Lance Guest.
No.
No.
80s?
80s.
Oh.
So somebody goofy, but not getting paid too well. It's voiceover.
C.
for
Thomas
television.
Howell.
You're in the right ballpark,
Yeah?
actually.
David Hasselhoff.
Oh, you were almost so close. David Coulier.
Oh.
Coulier?
Coulier?
Dave Coulier.
What-
Oh,
Full
Dave
House.
Coulier.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Coulier? Yes.
Actually, I knew that answer too because he shows up at the Fan Fest still.
Oh,
yeah,
does
yeah,
he?
'cause- yeah.
How about, we'll do one other one. Zeddemore. Who does the voice of Zeddemore?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yes.
Um,
I want you to think. Once
Ray
again,
Parker Jr.
I was actually surprised because I would have put his talent a little higher than this. Any other guesses?
No.
Arsenio Hall.
What?
No kidding.
Yes.
Wow.
Who actually does a pretty good Zeddemore. As you're listening to it, you're like, that's actually pretty good. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Back when he had the big time show and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, all right,
Yeah.
cool.
That's what I'm saying. It was probably like, I don't know, voiceover can be an easy gig, because you go in, you do it, you're out. It doesn't take as long as being on
Yeah,
set,
less than
so maybe
4
that's
hours,
why he
so-
was doing it. But it was interesting because it was like time frame of this. Whoa.
Hmm.
Yeah. But you are correct. Slimer becomes a good
I
friend
should
of
watch
theirs.
this. Real Ghostbusters.
Yeah. It's interesting to always see an interpretation of the same character. Once again, I didn't really watch it, so it's like I literally didn't know that it was Venkman and Spengler
Because it wasn't
Stans.
originally, right?
Well,
That's
and
why-
isn't one of them like blonde?
Yeah,
Like-
that's because they just want you apparently to know the difference between these three characters because we have three brunettes.
Oh.
The blonde one is Egon.
Yeah.
Stick
yeah.
glasses on him. We get it.
Well, that's
Yeah.
exactly what they did.
But there was a Ghostbusters that wasn't those
That
guys,
wasn't
right? So
them.
now we
Yes.
have the
Yes.
real Ghostbusters.
Yes, exactly.
Now
I gotta go watch all
I
this.
remember that other show. I don't remember what it was exactly, but I remember liking the other Ghostbusters show.
Okay.
I feel like I need to look it up and know.
You're
what
the
it
guy.
is.
Slimer
Yeah.
being the through line in everything.
Yeah,
by
which
the
I
way.
cannot stand.
Right.
And there are other ghosts in that show up in Afterlife. Like when they
Yes.
release the ghost, there's like just they fly by, but if you watch the cartoon, you say, "Oh, that ghost with the one eye or whatever." Was
You are
in-
correct.
was in the
Prompting
show.
many people, and we might have even talked about this, is this going to end up being a storyline that was from one of the cartoons?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now that's for kids, but I think this movie, Ghostbusters Afterlife, does one of the smartest things that the franchise could currently do is make a kid a Ghostbuster.
Yeah.
I mean, you've just
Yeah.
opened up everything. I mean, again, I'm doing parties for 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds who love Ghostbusters, and I think that's just the smartest thing that there is.
By the way, she's fantastic in the role.
Oh, yeah.
She's so believable.
Oh, wonderful.
Like everything she's doing is everybody in the cast in this to me is firing on all cylinders.
agree.
I absolutely love the performances in this movie.
I knew McKenna Grace would be great. I saw her in Gifted, and of course she played young Captain Marvel and young Tanya Harding in I, Tonya.
Oh,
Did she really? I didn't realize.
But here's something if you want to be further impressed. She has 67 credits, with Frozen Empire being the 68th, and 7 more films in development. And she wrote and sang the film's closing credit song, as you mentioned. And she turns 18 this year.
Yeah.
oh my God, those are the moments.
What have
where-
you done?
Yeah, those are the moments where you're like, well, I mean, when I was a teenager, I used to swim in the summers,
I got second in my school spelling bee.
Hey,
and I was
man,
only in 5th grade. At the
There's
time. Thank you.
something. I mean, I did graduate high school a year early. There's something.
Spell Chandelier.
That's too hard.
Second. No, but Phoebe is the revelation of this whole movie. She's
Yeah.
the best new character. I mean, Gary Gruberson is pretty cool, just because it's Paul Rudd, and they let Paul Rudd do his Paul Rudd charm
They
thing. They
let
don't
him
hold
be
him
Paul
back.
Ruddy.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think Phoebe is the real champ here in terms of something new.
But everybody, I mean, even the mom,
That is a bargain. Carrie Coon is outstanding, and so for this franchise to get her, it's like, whoa, okay, well that's outstanding. That's punching above your weight class.
Now I want to jump in real quick with some story stuff in terms of questions. To your point, we never really delved into any of their life stories in the original Ghostbusters. There's a reference to a house that they're doing a double mortgage on and at a very terrible rate
Yeah,
to
exactly.
fund everything.
Right.
That's
But
about
that's stances.
Yeah, right.
Stances,
Yeah, that's
not
right.
Egon's.
Yeah, and that's about as far as we ever go in terms of like any family life or anything like that,
Background.
which is fine. I mean, that's for that movie, and that's perfect. But now we're delving into this, and I always felt like Egon was this good stand-up human being. And obviously he is, right? But this idea that he left his family to go do this thing.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I love that we have this payoff that he did the most difficult thing. He went and saved the world and had to sacrifice everything.
Yeah.
And they really make him a hero, which again goes to my point, which is I think this movie shifts from being a comedy to being an adventure action film that has comedic elements similar to basically any superhero movie you see now.
Yeah.
Right? I don't feel that this movie, and I'm guessing that the new one coming out will fall in the same category. I don't feel that this movie's a comedy.
Well, no. At its heart, this movie is a family drama, which is one of the things that I loved about this. They spend so much time right off the bat getting to know the relationships of these characters. We spend easily the first... Now, I will say it's a great opening sequence. It's fantastic.
Right.
I love the opening sequence. It's eerie and it's goofy. It's like, what is going on? Sets up a ton. But what I really, really love is that after that opening sequence, it's 25 minutes of establishing relationships. Who are these people? Why are they here?
Right.
What is their relationship with each other? They spend so much time giving us reasons to love them, as opposed to, no, you're supposed to love this person because they're a superhero, or you're supposed to, hate this person because they're bad. Whereas this, it gives us something to hold on to right from the very beginning. And that's what this whole movie works on. Our payoff at the end with Egon being there, not only is it the family getting to see Egon, we get to see our buddies, all four of our buddies back together again. Like it's just awesome. Like it's so sweet and touching for me. But we only get there by establishing how important these people are to us and to each other.
I want to point out how beautiful it is that you're getting choked up about this, because I cried last night watching it. When she hugged him, when there's the resolution with his daughter, I totally cried because I mean, and I love that they never had him speak.
Yep. It was all just a resolution in visuals. Again, that also speaks to the power of cinema, right? This is something I'm really big on with like cinema.
100%.
I have that in my notes.
Yeah, like versus television too, right? Like there's a lot of like talking and things like that with television.
Right.
Because we got to drive this storyline, we got to get to the next episode and all this stuff. But like there's something about cinema where I can place the camera, I can have a moment with someone, I can connect with them, and everything that needs to be said is just said with eyes, expression,
and action.
The way it's cut and action and all of that, and it was all present right there. That was a testament, I think, to the filmmakers trusting that this was going to work this way. Because I could definitely see some executive going, well, they got to come in. I got to say they love you.
We're going to have sound alike.
Be
Egon, right?
Yeah.
Going along those lines, testament to the filmmakers. Okay, our CGI is still not quite there yet, that we could drop in a CGI image of someone, of Grand Moff Tarkin, right next to somebody who's actually standing right next to him and go, oh yeah, that's clearly the CGI, and that's a real person. We're not there yet. But by making him a ghost, you never doubt it. Because what does a ghost look like? I don't know.
Right.
So it's like, I never doubted that he was there. Like, I think you could show this movie to someone, have them not know that Harold Ramis died, and they'd have been okay with it. They'd have been like, oh, that's interesting. They never had the actor speak.
Yeah.
Just brilliant on his behalf, and then it allows us to get all of our heroes together. We jumped straight to the end. We need to go back to the beginning.
I know. But I do have something really important to talk about the end, and we'll table it for later. So hopefully somebody will remind me.
Oh well, okay. Yeah, I would just say that's the plan from Jason Reitman from the beginning. Family first, as opposed to a bunch of people forming a Ghostbusters business, because that's been Answer the Call. That was 84. It's all about starting this ghost-busting business. That's like an ancillary. They don't even have a ghost-busting business.
Right.
They're just following through on Egon.
And I love that they're just kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're kids on an adventure. It's Goonies.
It is Goonies. It's Goonies meets Ghostbusters. And to your point, you talked about how in Answer the Call, you kind of had a problem of like, there's this beat in a Ghostbusters movie. There's this beat. There's this beat. There's this beat. We had all those beats, and it didn't bother me once. At no point did I go, oh, well, this is where they invent this, or this is... No, I didn't have any of that.
Right.
Instead, it was just like I was just fully enthralled on this adventure. Going back to a specific moment of the sweetness of family, I loved the beginning of the chess playing. It was like, oh my gosh, what a great way to connect this child. She doesn't even know it's her grandfather yet, with her grandfather, and we're getting Egon's relationship with his granddaughter. How sweet is that?
Yeah.
Like, it's just so charming and just wonderful. No talking. It's just moving a chess piece.
Yep.
Moving a chess piece. Flicking a chess piece. No, you got it wrong, kid.
And they let that sequence play itself out.
Yeah.
They didn't, because remember, he moves it, and she's kind of like, what's going on there?
Yeah.
And then she goes to sleep.
Right.
And then she moves,
Yeah.
or she moved and then she went to sleep, and then, she moves again. And it's like, this is the progression.
Right.
This gives us a nice progression without forcing it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, this is where they ended up after numerous attempts at Ghostbusters 3. I mean, we all know it would have been probably just another wacky ghost adventure thing, and I think this was a much more adult take.
Who was it from the original cast? Was it not Aykroyd, but was it Ramis? Who was really into ghosts and
Aykroyd.
Yeah. It was Aykroyd.
Yeah.
So I do think his influence of the past, we've talked about, like, even the original Ghostbusters movie seemed to be a lot more serious before they went really deep into the comedy, but the concepts of it were very serious, and I think they really doubled down on letting that happen in this. And I did see something that the filmmakers brought together as much of the original crew as they could.
Oh, interesting.
Even just to come in and it sounded like even just to like come in and talk about it.
Right.
Which was, I mean, talk about family.
Right.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Right. I mean,
and
oh my God.
Jason Reitman would have known all these crew.
And I'll tell you something. This is where AI doesn't win, because AI can never do heart and soul and spirit.
Yeah.
That is an intangible something that that ends up in movies that you can't put your finger on.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like when we're studying acting, right? And I don't know if you did any of these acting classes where you have these teachers that are like, I want you to go with your scene partner and go do something as your characters, but not the scene. Just go improv and go, I don't know, you go gardening, or, you go take a hike,
do some laundry.
Go do some laundry, whatever it is, right? But there's some intangible something that comes into the work that's different because of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what that was part of the process that these filmmakers trusted, and not enough filmmakers, or I should say studios, are trusting filmmakers to have these intangibles enter the process.
Yeah.
I went to see Hostels, that Christian Bale movie. It's a Western by Scott Cooper, the filmmaker who made Crazy Heart, and he's great. And that in the Q&A, he was talking about how, like, a lot of movies today are overwritten. I just wanted to remove some of the dialogue, and I was like, and I'm looking around, I'm like, come on. He's like, he's telling you how it is in
It's a room full of screenwriters. They were all like, what do you mean remove the dialogue? They're like, jackass, sit down.
They're like, that son of a...
Well, I mean, that's the screenplay should only be just what you see and what you hear.
Yeah.
That's it. Shouldn't be emotion. That'll come later.
There was a tiny payoff as she goes down and discovers basically the basement, his workshop, and they hold on it for a little bit, and I didn't catch it at all the first time around. It is his spore collection, and fungus collection.
I thought about that too when it happens, because they kind of stay on it for a little bit.
Yes,
and
they held on it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a 40-year joke paying off right here.
That's brilliant. That is brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a Twinkie, right? And there's a Nestle Crunch, of course.
The Twinkie,
What's
I
the
was
Nestle
like,
Crunch?
Here, you've earned it.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes.
And it probably meant something to him. This is when we started the business. I'll hang on to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So,
Oh, that's funny. I love that.
Violet Ramis, his daughter, saw early scripts and approved of it. It was kind of cool. They ran through her to see what she thought
Yeah.
of everything when they were going to dedicate pretty much the whole movie to Harold.
Yes.
And you mentioned films. Oh, you mentioned family. So Rob Simonson is your composer. He works a ton, but I don't really know the guy. He did The Whale, Tully, The Upside,
Oh, wow.
and the upcoming Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh, wow.
But he brought in Elmer Bernstein's son Peter as a consultant. So
Oh, well, there
look
you
at that.
go.
Yeah.
yeah, and I guess Peter worked a lot in orchestrations and stuff with his dad.
Nice.
Back in the original films. So yeah, so they get that taste and flavor of that sound again. That's why, on purpose, a big choice. And also to bring Ramis to life, they took a bunch of pictures. They had a bunch of pictures of him that they scanned to make the moving picture company, I guess is the name of the effects company that created his digital double. And Bob Gunton,
Yes.
the what's the word? The asshole in Shawshank Redemption.
Yep.
The warden in Shawshank Redemption.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is your body double.
Is the body double for
and
Harold.
occasionally Ivan Reitman as well, including the scene where Harold Ramis steadies his granddaughter's hand at the end. So that's Ivan Reitman.
Oh, look
also
at that.
in there at the end as well. So yeah, a lot
I
done
mean,
to pull
honest-
that off.
That I mean, just even talking about it, I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
Just talking about that moment.
Yeah.
I
To
love.
think that then Ivan died like
Shortly. There
3
we go.
months later.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
exactly.
Such a shame.
I'll tell you something. I think every good movie, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think every good, really good movie that we love somehow comes back to love. Somehow comes back to really caring. There's something about that feeling.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about romantic love. I'm just talking about love as the essence of
In the
things.
story or in the making or in both?
Yeah, I mean both. I think
gotta permeate everything,
Yeah, I
I
think
think.
it's got to be everywhere. I
Right.
think I mean now we're getting all philosophical,
Right.
but I just think when you approach things in life with love and not fear, the outcome is completely different.
Yeah.
That's
interesting.
How about Prince of Persia? Oh,
He
movies
said
we
good
like.
movies.
we
Good
like.
Good
Okay,
movies,
right.
sorry,
good
we
movies.
like.
Yeah,
Aliens.
aliens, lots of love, lots of love. All you need is love.
All you need is love. Love is all you need.
Hey, Ripley loves Newt. Don't doubt it.
I mean that's true.
Yeah.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
Yes, again.
Yeah,
thank
Justin.
you.
I didn't even hear what you said, so I'm just
Ripley
gonna agree.
loves Newt.
Oh, yes, yes. Loves Newt.
I'm on a microphone.
Yeah.
You have headphones. What's going on?
Well, okay. So also, I don't know. Does this save money, or was this a fluke that they had a lower budget, but mostly practical effects?
I mean, a lot. Yes, and yes. This had a couple things going for it. Where Reitman was just like, "No, we're going to correct some of the big mistakes. One, we're going to make it small. Okay, we can go out to the Midwest, Canada, and we can shoot this thing as opposed to shooting in New York. Okay,
Right.
We're going to keep our cast small. We're going to keep it intimate. We're not going to spend any money on music
Right.
at all. But also on top of that, we are going to release this internationally. We're going to make a film that audiences everywhere can watch without having to know any backstory or anything like that. If they go see the other movies, that's great. But we're going to establish something, these relationships with people that people, even if you're in a different language, you understand that a grandfather still loves his granddaughter.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
I mean, there's so much he got right here.
And a grandfather and granddaughter can watch this movie together. I was just reading a story by Jason Blumhouse about the rise of PG-13 horror films. I guess Megan was PG-13, and
Okay.
Imaginary, that's coming out, is PG-13. Five Nights at Freddy's,
Yeah.
is PG-13.
Yeah, that's a
so
popular, yeah.
people like being scared, but now you can be scared with your family,
With your
and
family.
it's not such a weird thing. I
Huh.
think that's totally going to be the case with Frozen
Love
Empire.
that.
Do you have at your fingertips what the box office difference was between domestic and international?
129 domestic, 74 international. That compromises. That
74
composes your-
internationally?
Yes.
So it paid for itself internationally, and then on top of that, everything else was
made-
gravy. And I'm sure they didn't spend $100 million in advertising for this. So
I
this
wonder-
might-
They didn't even have a real tagline from what we talked about.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
I wonder what the margin is that these movies need to be.
Normally, you would say double.
Yeah.
you would say you need to make double.
Right.
In order for it to be
especially because
considered
of the
a success.
marketing budget.
But
I'll take that.
normally you would have to make double what the budget is. But also on top of this is something that carries a lot of paraphernalia that they're going to sell, right? There's a lot of merchandise connected to this as well. So I don't think it's your,
I bought the popcorn bucket.
Right. Dial of Destiny doesn't have so much merchandise.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Whereas Raiders of the Lost Ark obviously did. This has a lot of merchandise connected to it. There's so many toys for kids because it's something that kids can go see. It's, it's Goonies essentially.
Right. Right.
So I don't think you have to hit that double mark for this is what I'm saying.
What's the name of the young man in the movie? Plays the brother. From
Finn Wolfhard.
Finn
Wolfhard.
Yeah.
So we haven't talked about him at all, but he also does a great job, I think, in the film.
yeah.
And I also like that he's got his own arc. He's got this own storyline, and he does bring with him an audience, right? People love Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah.
I'm one of those people, and it's a great, Stranger Things, awesome, and he's great in this role as well. I think he does a great job supporting. I think there's a lot of justification with his character. He ends up like coming in and kind of saving the day with the car and the driving and all this stuff. He's terrible at it, and then he's great at it. And there's like all these discoveries. It's awesome.
But once again, that goes back to the brilliance of Reitman and just like, let's keep the budget low. We're going to bring in some TV stars to do things. I mean, he obviously called in some favors. The voice of Muncher, do you know who the voice of Muncher is? Josh Gad, for no particular reason. We don't need Josh Gad in this, but he's like, I can get Josh Gad. He's a buddy of mine, so I'll just call him up and have him do this.
I love that,
Who
actually.
directed J.K. Simmons and Juno? Jason Reitman.
Exactly.
So he shows up
And
for hardly any screen time.
He's got to
That's a
have
favor.
2 lines and less than a minute on screen. I'm like, what? I didn't realize he was in this movie, and I went, are you kidding me? J.K. Simmons is Ivo Shandor? Are you kidding me? There was one other one which
Olivia Wilde?
Olivia Wilde, who I didn't even
She's
recognize.
great.
Didn't recognize her at all. And I thought,
Wait, who does she play?
Gozer.
Gozer.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that
No
nuts?
idea. Had no idea.
I looked it up, and at first Google told me, and I went, okay, this is obviously a prank because that's not her. I'm looking at her right now. And then IMDb, no, that's Olivia Wilde. And then it's just like Olivia Wilde. Everywhere I checked, no, it was really Olivia Wilde that did that. Nuts.
But the voice was Shorey Agdashlu.
Yes.
And that tracks, because if you know who that is, she got an Oscar nomination for The House of Sand and Fog, I think, with Ben Kingsley, but she was in 24 and played Beirut's mother, and she's got one of these voices like this, so she's going,
oh my God.
I'm not surprised.
Brilliant.
Great actress,
Brilliant.
though, but but totally voice on point. And then, someone said that they kind of created a new Ghostbusters team I can't come up with words today.
I don't know.
They created a new Ghostbusters team in the frame of the originals, right? So you have, if Ben Wolfhard is your Venkman, you got Podcast as your Stance dealing with the gadgets,
right.
And Spengler is Spengler.
Yeah.
And then you got coming in late to it is the girl character, whatever her name is. And
Lucky.
Lucky.
Right.
That's
Lucky.
right. And you get all 4 of your characters.
You hit on something, and maybe so are all of those characters back
Oh yeah.
for the new one? Is Podcast there?
Yep, I think so.
Okay. Good. I'm
Did
glad.
we see Podcast in the trailer?
I didn't either. So I'm like, is he there? Yes, definitely there.
Correct.
Okay. I'm glad, because I was like, at first I was like, wait, this is such a great character.
Oh yeah.
I hope they don't write this character out, because he's awesome.
Oh no, he's too,
Yeah.
and provides a ton of comedic relief.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So awesome.
Yep.
Okay, 2 things I want to chat about too real quick. The tiny little Stay Puft Marshmallow Men. It's a weird callback and really well done.
Yeah.
like there's a part of me that's like, yes.
I'll tell you what, that sequence where he's looking at him and he obviously knows what's going on. He's like, he's a Ghostbusters fan. He knows what the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is. But I'll tell you, you want to talk about different of change in tone. Rick Moranis being attacked by the dog is really funny. And I never found it scary. And I'm watching this thing and I'm like, this would be terrifying. You're walking down the aisle and you see that thing.
Yes.
And then even running, like, to see it coming out, it's terrifying. It is really scary.
The end of that sequence, the dog is on the car.
Yes.
Right? And the very last shot it jumps towards the camera.
Yes.
Now I happen to be watching this. I have another computer set up at home that's got a bigger monitor, and I like the speakers, so I was watching the movie on that. And I happened to, for whatever reason, slightly lean forward right at the moment that thing jumped out. It scared the piss out of me. I was like, oh my God, that scared the
You have very delicate sensibilities, Sean.
I'm very sensitive, very, very sensitive.
Yeah.
But yeah, that scared the crap out of me. And but I love that sequence. And okay, here's the other thing that's funny about Paul Rudd. And I don't know if this was direction or if this is just Paul Rudd being Paul Rudd. Did somebody tell him to have a little swagger in his step when he's at the Walmart, because he's walking through like, hey, it's almost like he's got a little song in his head. He goes, he gets ice cream. You're like, this guy is having a great day.
It is Steve Martin in Roxanne as he's literally walking and singing, I'm walking, yes indeed, and I'm talking about
I was like, is he trying to fill the moments with something? Like, does he feel like
he had the date by then, right?
Yes, he had the date. Yeah. I totally buy it. I think it's great. I love it.
He's Tom Hanks after getting laid and big, right?
Yeah.
Strolling down the right.
Now, I'll say this. This is something that's weird to talk about, but I want to talk about it because it struck me a little bit last night. I love Bill Murray, and I think Bill Murray is an awesome human. I think he's interesting. I think he's a fun actor. I feel like the comedy he brought in that moment seemed out of place, even though it's part of they're trying to distract and all of that stuff, and I get the intention, but
it didn't work out between us.
Yeah, it just something about it just, when we talk about the reality of given circumstances and the stakes that are involved.
Yeah,
it just I still feel like the characters. I don't know. Maybe he didn't need to show those colors. Maybe that's what it is. But it just I don't know if it's just that they let him riff, and this wasn't really, maybe it wasn't written, and he just kind of riffed about this was a bit he came up with, and so they let him riff, and this was the bit they ended up with. And I love him. I think he's funny, but I just think in this movie, in that moment, there were other things that he did that I loved, when he's like, "Hey, we're going in. We're going to have some hot cocoa." It's like that stuff I loved. But that sort of like long thing that was happening, I don't know. That was the only moment that made me kind of pull out, and I was like, I think part of it too was because and this will be a contentious statement, I think.
Okay.
I, as much as I enjoyed seeing everybody, didn't feel like I needed to see everybody. I didn't feel like I needed that in that moment. I liked that they jumped in and saved the day. And there's also a small part of me that felt like we didn't need all of them. I would have been fine even if just would have been Dan Aykroyd there, and I don't know, that there was something with that for me. I don't know.
I have two thoughts because we had two things there. The first one is, I'll agree. His statement, I'm not going to say it took me out, but it was a tone shift.
Maybe that's what it was.
Tone shift.
Yeah.
That was a different tone of a movie, and we're bringing him into this different tone of a movie.
Yeah.
I will say that. Now, the tone shift, I was like, oh, and then I dropped it that fast.
And by the way, can I just say, for the original Ghostbusters, perfect.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But for this, I was like, I don't know. Anyway, go on.
And then what I would say for the second part is I completely disagree.
Oh.
Because seeing all four of my friends back together again.
Yeah.
It was just great.
Yeah.
It was. He brought all four of them back. One of them's dead, and he brought them back together in a way that I just went, oh, yes, you, Jason!
Well, look,
the original Smokey Ghost.
Look, I'll say this: I don't hate that happened, and this doesn't change my love for the film, because I think this, if the best score on this film is a 10, for me it's a 10. I love this film. So it's a little gripe.
Not that we need a tiebreaker here, but I kind of agree with you, Sean, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we didn't need them, but I thought it was a bonus. I'm like, oh, them too? Oh,
yes.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Oh, it's fun.
completely.
But now they have to be here to resolve their relationship
Yes.
with Spengler as well. So
I'm going to say that's the best justification and motivation. I'm healed. I'm good.
Yeah.
Way to go. Nailed it.
Jason. No, because I will agree. It's like, had they not set up the other stuff of like Egon Spengler can rot in hell, I don't know why I did that like Harrison Ford.
Egon Spengler can rot in hell.
but we did need it for that resolution. But even if had you taken that out, had you removed the rest of the Ghostbusters and you hadn't gotten any of them back, I will agree. I bet we still could have ended up with a really touching movie. But by bringing them in, takes it over the top. I loved Rogue One. Rogue One is a really, really good movie, and then Darth Vader comes in and we see how badass Darth Vader is, and it made that movie a great movie for me. And I got the same thing here.
I like your point of view that it is a bonus, and I can get on board with that. I do agree. I think my point is that everyone in the cast in this movie, all the new folks, did such a great job. And I loved their characters, and I loved their arc, and I loved everything that they did so much that I didn't need the original folks to all come back.
Right.
Now, I think for storyline-wise, we needed to see Dan Aykroyd's character. That's already set up. And even Zeddemore, there's payoffs, so I get all of that. But I don't know. I think it was a bonus. I'm good with it, and I like that point of view, so I'm good.
Yeah. Oh, and I do quote this movie because I do love his line that maybe you didn't find as much trouble with. Pete Venkman from The Home Office. Like I say that to Paul Preston from The Home Office.
From The Home Office, yeah. This movie did spawn another video game, by the way.
Yeah, I heard that, but I don't know if that one did that one make a dent?
No, it did not. So. There is an unbelievably scathing quote about this video game, which I was going to read, which was exceptionally funny as well. I can't find it. Back to what I was saying.
But basically, people didn't like it.
The video game was not well received. However, Ramis actually gets writing credit. Once again, it's going off of some ideas that he and Aykroyd had before. That's what they ended up using for the premise of it. So it was co-written by the two of them. And Aykroyd and Hudson both provide the voices for their respective characters. Bill Murray is nowhere to be found. His character isn't even in it.
That's really funny.
That's not required at this point, right? Because we've moved on to this other set of characters.
Yeah.
Everyone else is a bonus.
There you go. And Bill Murray doesn't do things for a paycheck, except Garfield.
Right. Just to believe that wacky story that he thought it was Ethan Coen. You know that story?
What? No.
Ethan Coen is the writer and director of that. He
of
thought
Garfield.
It was Ethan Coen.
From the Coen brothers.
Do we buy this? Dude, but he's told that story, and I'm like,
that's hilarious.
It does
research.
This talk about Bill Murray, though, does make me wonder, what his character will be like in Frozen Empire. I know he comes in at some point, again, to sort of save the day. I'm a little concerned about this idea that it's this thing of the franchises we grew up with. And passing the baton.
Right.
And, can you really pass the baton without continuing to have the elder characters there at some point? Can you just go, hey, these guys got it, and this is Ghostbusters now? I don't know.
Creed 3 made a lot of money.
There you go. Yeah, Creed gave it a shot.
Yeah, there you go. Well,
Stallone kicked it off, and then he backed off, and
he got kicked off.
Yeah, he was written out.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was.
It's
he got cancer. He died. He was not happy about it.
Speaking of contentious.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, either way.
But Creed 3 made a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, Aykroyd wanted the original cast for 3 sequels. So go Afterlife, Frozen Empire, and whatever's next after that.
Okay. Well then.
But he's been Mr. Ambitious from the beginning. It's always him wanting to do the next one, and Murray being
there
like,
was before Feig, director for Answer the Call. Feig. Before he got on board and they went with the ladies, Ben Stiller, Chris Rock, and do you remember the third?
No, I remember Ben Stiller only. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was Ben Stiller, Chris Rock, and I want to say like Jack Black at one point.
C. Thomas Howell.
And C. Thomas Howell were doing it. The 3 of them, that's what Aykroyd wanted. The 3 of them. And I was like,
I mean, that would have been good.
Yeah,
that would have been good. I think it would have been. I think it would have been funny.
It would have been
right.
Funny.
It would have been funny. I mean, I will say this. I think Ghostbusters as an action adventure film, awesome, love it.
Yeah,
I'm actually really on board. I actually think Ghostbusters had less of a chance surviving as a franchise if they would have continued to try to just make it funny.
Try and just do comedy.
Yeah. I
Right.
think they have a better chance making it this action adventure with some comedy in it. I absolutely think it's going to have much more staying power.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Well, it found its audience with Afterlife, the number 10 highest grossing film of 2021. Number
Yeah.
1 in its first week, then Encanto.
Yeah.
So, and eventually, I think Spielberg's West Side Story had a week at number 1, and then Spider-Man No Way Home took it to the end.
Took
of
it
the
to the
year.
end of the
And was always there.
No Way Home, there's no way you're going to beat that.
Yeah.
And now, if you love this movie, Gil Keenan co-wrote it with Jason Reitman. He takes over as director for Frozen Empire, so that's a promising sign as well to
yeah.
continue the tone and the love
Yeah.
of the characters that you saw in,
Yeah.
in this one. Did you have something else you want to say about the end of the film? Earlier you hinted at it, or did
No,
already
that
come
was
out?
it. It was the Bill Murray stuff.
okay.
Yeah, that was the only thing. But I appreciate that we had a chat about it, and I feel better about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not much in the way of awards. Sometimes we talk about awards and stuff with these movies. Finn Wolfhard was best performance by a younger actor at the Saturn Awards.
Hey.
That's about it. But again, the people came out, and that's why we will have Frozen Empire.
I'm going to say what I've said for a long time. I really, really hate that the Motion Picture Academy does not, I don't feel, give due to science fiction, action, adventure, comedies, all of that stuff. It's like to them, these are just popcorn movies. I saw a great quote on I don't know, some show, podcast, whatever. It might have been Howard Stern, I don't know. But he was talking with someone and was asking, it was Quentin Tarantino. He was talking with Quentin Tarantino, and they were talking about superhero movies, and do you want to do a superhero movie? And the thing about young people today, and I like what Quentin Tarantino had to say. He kind of defended that, like, look, for the young folks of today, going to the movies is a superhero movie or a Star Wars movie, or because that's what they grew up on. They were 4 or 5 years old when these were, the studios have been like pushing and pushing all these films. That's all they know.
All they know is franchises.
Yeah, so they didn't grow up like us, where we grew up watching one-offer, right?
Yeah.
Like Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins, right?
Yeah.
Like
And Ends.
and ends right
Ends.
there. I remember waiting for that sequel. I loved that movie when I was a kid. But but we had all of these movies that were one-offs, and I don't know, maybe people were thinking, this could be a franchise, but that wasn't in people's minds, I don't think, as much. I think people were just like, I have a great character that needs to have a movie, and they write this thing, and you get this awesome thing, and then the fact that it becomes a franchise was really almost accidental.
Yeah.
It wasn't, now everything is made with the intention that it's going to be a franchise. We're pushing this out to be a franchise, and they purposefully write the first movie so that there's a big cliffhanger, or the bad guy gets stuck in the thing, or the whatever, they're in the vortex and they got to get him, whatever it is, right? That's always there. But that stuff wasn't written that way for us as much, because they wrote movie. I mean, even the first Star Wars movie was written
as a one-off,
kind of with Darth Vader flies off into the distance, but really it's like, hey man, we won.
Yeah.
Here's our ceremony, we're done. If this film tanks, we got our ending.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But if it doesn't, okay, maybe we got something. But I don't know.
To your initial point, though, I think success in your genre is success, and the Oscars should note that.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, Captain America Civil War, best picture material.
Absolutely.
That film is incredible. And
Yeah.
if you are looking at it as like, it's just a superhero movie, you're not paying attention to the scene at the elevator between Alfred Woodard and Robert Downey Jr., which speaks everything about emotion and adult situations and plot and stuff. So it transcends genre, and when a film does that, in any genre, sci-fi or whatever, I think maybe even like Dune transcended genre with all the 6 awards that it won last time. We'll see if the sequel does the same.
I haven't seen the original.
Somehow they awarded that, But every once in a while they're unfair, and especially comedies.
I have always said, you take Batman Begins, and if you remove the name Batman from it, and you take the exact same storyline, and you take it about, I don't know, make him a samurai in the 16th century, you have Best Picture. But because it has Batman in the title, the Academy's not going to look at it, because Batman Begins is a really good
they
film.
really screwed up on Dark Knight to the point where they changed the way they nominate. Now it's 10 nominees, so you can include some popular movies that people like.
Right, exactly.
So now we get things like Up and Barbie and whatever nominated for Best Pictures, so people will care.
Yeah.
But
All right. I have a question for both of you.
Lay it on me.
Where does this rank in all of our Ghostbusters films?
Well, I'll say, obviously, I think the original Ghostbusters is number one for me.
Number one? Okay.
I just love that movie. I mean, we talked about it when we did that one. It's on my favorite movies list.
Correct. Same.
Yeah.
And you're correct.
Yeah. And honestly, I think this is number 2 for me.
I concur.
Yeah.
I think so. I've watched number 2 more just because of time. I think if you ask me right now which one I'd watch Afterlife.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd want to see Phoebe's stupid jokes. I'd want to see Paul Rudd being hilarious. And get to see the boys at the end. Yeah.
What's number 3? Which one's number 3 for you?
Answer the Call.
Same.
I'm ranking all of these the exact same as you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I would obviously Ghostbusters 2 is
2.
last.
Yeah.
Which I still enjoyed, but
Yeah.
I would rank this number 2. Because it just hit on so many different cylinders. One of them specifically being the emotional connection to the new characters. We did not know these characters before we stepped into that theater, and by the end, once again, Egon hugging his daughter and him able to go on to the afterlife.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's mad that we're going to see these characters again.
Which does bring up a point. If you get a really heartfelt hug, do you evaporate? Like, if somebody walks up to Slimer and they're like...
Well, I'll tell you something. I wonder if there's a setup.
Using these proton packs. Just give them a hug.
all we got to do is hug them.
Is there a setup in there, though, in terms of resolve?
Oh, I'm sure.
If you resolve your issues
Right.
on this plane of existence. I also like the fact that he sort of dissipated into particles.
Yeah.
I was talking with a friend of mine who, and I'm going to get all this information wrong right now, but he was telling me about this. There was a French like philosopher. This was, I don't know, whatever, 1700s, 1600s, whatever. Basically, the idea that he came up with for sort of this afterlife was this idea that there's an energy field around the earth, and that we all become a part of that energy field,
Right.
And
like an energy field that kind of guides us and moves our actions.
Yeah,
it'll tell you what to do. Well, it'll
yeah, it penetrates us. It combines the galaxy together. Anyway, but I liked the particles sort of going up, and I liked that they weren't like, hey, he's going to go towards the light and walk towards
right.
You know what I mean? Like it just kind of dissipated, and it was like there was a resolve. I love that.
That moment as the particles go up, that it's like particles go up, and right there it just says for Harold.
Oh my God! Yes.
Such a sweet moment.
Oh,
Yeah.
so beautiful.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Yeah.
It's a beautiful movie. We love it. It's
Yep.
our number 2.
Yep.
So let's wrap this up, and we'll be back, though, for the final episode of this after we see Frozen Empire. But in the meantime, I'm Paul Preston of the Movie Guys.
I'm Sean Blodgett of Creative Motion Entertainment.
Justin Bowler,
Check us out at The Movie Guys. That's everywhere on social, and, of course, themovieguys.net for more about the movies and all the episodes of this show and more. Sean, tell us about Creative Motion?
It's great.
Justin, tell us about the world.
I concur. It's great.
All right, join us on the next Countdown to 5 after we see Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire.
Ghostbusters, 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 Ghostbusters.